Welcome to Harry Potter and the Anxious Millennials, a show where we delve week by week into each chapter of the Harry Potter series. Arri!
Adam! Hello.
You?
Just fine, Adam. Just fine. How are you? Or do you not want me to ask?
I'm fine. As far as all our listeners know, I'm fine.
And that's all they will know. This week, we read chapter 29 called The Dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it would sound if Fleur said it.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, what happens in this chapter?
Harry has a dream.
Perfect. Imaginative. Inspiring.
Yeah. I think we should just do these as
What a take.
Harry goes to the pensive. Harry
dives on
does
into
the third
that
task. Harry meets flesh, blood, and bone.
Harry witnesses a death.
So the chapter starts
shorter.
out. This one
At
was
least.
shorter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The chapter starts out, and obviously at the end of last chapter, Hagrid had taken Harry back up to the castle because someone had attacked Crumb. Crouch is nowhere to be found, blah, 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 blah. So we get back, and we're basically getting Harry recounting the tale to the tale of Sweeney Todd, obviously, is what I'm referring to.
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
To Ron and Hermione. And so they kind of they come to a conclusion that either Crouch did it, Crouch actually did attack Crumb, or someone else got both of them, which is more likely.
Can confirm.
Ron, however, is like, oh, maybe someone took disapparated by right there, and Hermione at this point in book 4 in the fourth book of the series is like, if you talk about apparating on school grounds one more goddamn time.
Honestly, they don't listen to her.
No. Either they're the worst or incredibly stupid. Genuinely unintelligent.
Well.
Oh well.
Could be. It could be that.
So the next morning,
Harry's a jock. Ron clearly isn't the brightest bulb.
What is Ron's type? Goof?
Goof. Goofaloof.
Goofy.
Goofy, the Disney character Goofy. Ron Weasley.
Harry's Mickey.
Yeah.
I would say Hermione is Daisy.
Is she more Daisy?
I guess
more flamboyant.
Because I actually think Daisy and Donald have the relationship that Hermione and Ron have.
Right?
Donald!
Yeah. Ronald. Ronald Weasley.
Yeah. Because she's not Minnie, and she's not Donald. Anyway.
Clarabelle.
She's Clarabelle the cow.
Clarabelle.
And Ron
Clarabelle
is Horace Horsecollar.
Correct.
All these famous characters we know and love.
Fan favorites.
So the next morning they get up super early so they can go to the Owlery so they can send Sirius a letter to make sure he knows everything that happened and blah, blah, blah. So they're up in the Owlery, and we return to my least favorite plot line.
Yeah.
Fred and George. They hear Fred and George coming up to the Owlery and are talking about how well, you can't say that because it's blackmail and da 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 da. And so they come in and they have this bit of comedy where they both ask each other what the... Oh, sorry. Can you raise your hand next time on this app that we use?
Oh yeah, that's a setting on here, isn't it? Yeah, go ahead.
Just a little button. Fred and George are going to blackmail someone. We don't know who. And did you have something to say?
Yeah, but I'm letting you go. And then I'll say it afterward.
What is it? Is it about Ron and Fred and George?
It's about Fred and George. So it's still it's about Fred and George. So it's still on topic with what here. I'll click the whenever you're done though, I'll just say it then.
Okay.
Do you have something to say?
So
I was like
they come in and they have this whole like comedy bit where they're like, "Who are you? What are you doing? What are you doing?" Da da da. Hermione, I see. No, I just called you Hermione.
Hermione. I think there was another episode where you called me Hermione.
Arri, I see you have something to say.
Yeah. What do you think we're supposed to think? Like in terms of the like a misleading type of plot line with like, there's no way we're supposed to think they're blackmailing Ludo Bagman. I just don't think we're supposed to think that at all.
She might expect you to think that at this point since they've accosted Ludo so many times.
At the time at the...
I think you're not supposed to know that it's because Ludo didn't pay them the gallons.
Right, absolutely not. But them approaching him...
I think you are supposed to think that they maybe do like making bad decisions because you definitely know that she's now referenced them going up to him enough times.
Right.
That you know that that's their plot line this year, which is what a plot. What a thrill.
Maybe what a thrill. Maybe she thinks we will assume that they're blackmailing Ludo Bagman because he is in trouble and they're blackmailing him instead of going to the authorities because they are obsessed with making money, as Ron said. There's been a couple times now in this book where someone else will be like, oh no, but your brothers wouldn't do that. And Ron's like, both times Ron's been like, well, I don't know. They might. So it was Percy first and now Fred and George. So I'm like, I don't know. Ron doesn't think very highly of his brothers.
No, he sees them for who they are.
Yeah, I guess that's true. He just sees a side of them that other people might not see as much. But I mean, in hindsight, we understand why it seems like they're obsessed with making money because all of their life savings were fucking stolen by Ludo Bagman's ass. So that's why they're like, what the fuck are we going to do? We have to get it back. And just
this is why you shouldn't gamble.
Yeah, please don't gamble, guys.
Don't do it. Don't do it, listeners.
Don't be Harry Potter and the gambling millennial. Just be Harry Potter and the anxious millennial. Yeah.
Just take your anxiety meds and go home.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. I don't know if she's a good enough writer to know that we could have multiple thoughts at once.
Sure. Could be that.
The end. So anyway, they get into this like argument of being like, well, we don't need to know what each other's doing because obviously Fred and George don't know that Sirius exists. Just up the mountain down the road. And they don't know about Ludo Bagman. And then there's this joke where they're like, carry on like this and you'll be made a prefect, Ron. Interesting.
TBD.
TBD. D. This is D.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And so
stay tuned. Stay tuned. Oh my god, I'm saying that forever from now on. It just reminds me of like stay toot. Like it makes me think of the word toot. Stay tuned. It's the little things, you know. I just realized my lights aren't on in here. Does that make it worse? We'll just leave them off.
I think you look great. I think your brows look a little heavy, but you look great.
I agree. I agree.
So yeah, they talk about how Fred and George are obsessed with this idea for making a joke shop, and then like they have to get money any means possible. And that's when Hermione's like, but they wouldn't do anything like illegal. And he's like, I mean, they break rules. That's their whole thing. That's their whole character arc at this point in our series, Hermione.
Honestly, and also, I'm sorry, do you know what their dad does? Illegal shit all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The apple does not fall far from the tree.
Ron, you're doing illegal shit. You guys are.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about?
You made Polyjuice Potion the second year of school.
Kettle pot. So I just don't.
You helped
really
smuggle
understand.
a dragon out of Hogwarts.
Yeah. You escaped a werewolf. Oh, no, not a werewolf. An anime
Is there
guy.
anyone in this book series following any rules? So far, no. Any major character?
Probably the Hufflepuffs.
Yeah.
Hufflepuffs are just like, I'm just gonna stay in my lane. I'm just here, until summer break, and then
I guess technically the first person that is their whole thing is that they follow the rules is Umbridge next book.
But even I don't know. Even with her, it's like,
yeah.
Because she's doing that. She does the Veritaserum bullshit. She even uses like the Cruciatus, or is going to use the Cruciatus curse on Harry at one point. Like, this is what I'm saying. There are no rules in the Ministry of Magic. It's basically just like, oh, we all say that these are what the rules are, but like wink, wink.
Yeah, and there was something about them saying like that blackmail was illegal that I was like, obviously blackmail is illegal. That's like a thing. But I just thought it was funny that in the Wizarding world that would also be a thing. Because I don't know. The Wizarding world already seems like they don't have their shit together.
You can literally Imperious someone and no one is like, they're acting weird. Moody has been Imperiousing children.
Yeah. In class. As
in
education.
Class! In front of each other!
Yeah, as curriculum.
Under Albus Dumbledore's watch!
Yeah.
There are no rules. This is the Wild West, as I've said before. It's the Wild West.
So they go to class, which is the most boring history of magic lesson they've ever had. Hermione literally can't even like keep her eyes open. They're all about ready to like pass out, and it's very slow. And immediately afterward, they go to Moody to find out if he found like Crouch or anything when he went off into the woods. And Harry's like, "Did you use the Marauders map?"
Girl, don't.
And Moody's like, "Yeah, I took a page from your book and I Acio'd it all the way out to the grounds." And I just like, again, like the broomstick flying on its own, just the image of like a parchment just like zooming through the hallways and like coming out to the ground is very funny to me.
I'm sure he just had it in his pocket already, though.
I'm sure he just had it in his pocket.
He doesn't go anywhere without that map.
No, because he's the only person who has a brain in this whole book.
Yeah.
And he's the villain.
He knows how important it is.
And so, yeah, because if anybody finds it and they realize...
Yeah, they'll know who he is.
Yeah.
He knows. He takes it seriously.
Also, this is very funny. You remember how last week that I was like, I pointed out that in this chapter, a similar thing happens to the last book where it's a thing in divination that like changes right before the like climax of the book.
She's also not very creative.
No, she's not. Because I also realized that last book, we had a person who was the secret villain that had been hiding even though they were thought dead for years. And in this book, we have a person who's hiding as the secret villain even though they had been thought dead for years. You're right. The exact same. We gave this woman money.
We told this woman she was amazing.
So anyway, so Hermione, like once again in this chapter, in the same chapter in which 2 pages ago she said the same thing, she reminds them that they can't apparate or disapparate on Hogwarts grounds.
Mm-hmm.
And Moody's like, "You'd be a great Auror." And she's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And Ron's immediately like mad that he has not been told that he could be an Auror. So he's like, "They also could have been taken on a broom, right? Like they could have
someone flew out of the sky.
Yeah, and just grabbed him on a broom.
Yeah, and then they just got him on a broom, and yeah, right. Crazy.
Oh, Ron.
Ronald.
He once again, Moody is like, "Listen, you just gotta keep your eyes peeled. I mean, I know I have this trick eye, but let's use all of them together. How about that?" And
I know I have this trick eye, but can't have enough eyes on this case, you know?
It's very interesting because they talk about how his face looks weird. Like he's missing teeth when he opens his mouth and his eyes drooping. And I was like,
are we is he running low on the Polyjuice potion?
I didn't know.
He's gotta be.
Anyway, he says constant vigilance. Please remember that.
Constant vigilance. That's my impression of Moody.
So they get a letter back from Sirius, and also Hermione gets her daily profit because she's a subscriber and she loves print media.
Well, she's on the Rita Skeeter that she's got a vendetta out for Rita Skeeter.
But she also supports hardworking journalism. So she donates to her local NPR radio station.
Yeah, NPR.
So she notes that Rita hasn't gotten wind of Crouch yet. And then they read the letter from Sirius, who basically is like, "Okay, Harry, I have expressed to you that someone is after you. And you are like, here's what I'll do. Go off practically into the woods with Crumb. And how dare you? I'm pissed." And then also is like, "You need to prepare for the third task because at this point, there's nothing you can do to help Crouch. Sorry that happened to you or whatever, but you need to move on and make sure not to die in task 3.
I think Sirius Black is hangry. He's living off rats.
He's living
like,
off rats.
This damn child that I basically went to Azkaban for 12 years because I avenged his parents. He just cannot get it together.
He's pissed.
Walking off. But even then, I'm just like, why is no one? I guess maybe we're just supposed to think. No, and everyone is, or a better way of saying, no one trusts Crumb. Like everyone thinks that Crumb is just out to get
Crumb.
him. I know. He's a good guy.
He's literally done nothing wrong in this book.
No, he's just been sweet the whole time.
He swam in the lake.
That was weird, but not bad.
Maybe you're supposed to think. Maybe he's also supposed to be red herring because you're supposed to think that like he's using Hermione to get closer to Harry or something.
And then the thing with Crouch that like he was the one maybe that hurt Crouch and acted like he got knocked out.
Yeah, on Karkaroff. He's maybe Karkaroff's henchman or something.
Yeah, he's working with Karkaroff.
Constant vigilance.
Constant vigilance. Here we go.
So, Harry is immediately like, "How dare he tell me I should watch out for myself after all the stunts he pulled in high school?"
What a hypocrite.
I'm pissed. What a fucking hypocrite. He too was once a child. And it's unfair to think that I also should, be safe. I'm pissed. And Hermione's like,
Harry is very clearly not used to having a parent. Like, very obviously. It's like, this is the whole parental role, sir. This is how it goes.
Is it at this point, is it that Harry is just doesn't understand that people are like, is it that he's had like 4 straight years of people trying to murder him? So he's like trauma blocked it. And he's like, no, it won't happen to me this year. This year's different. Or is it that he's so fucking cocky that he's like, I was 11 years old and I beat Voldemort again. So
either one is like not a good answer, right? Like it's just like,
right.
oh,
there's no good explanation why he's not freaking out.
Yes. I definitely think it's the first one. I just don't think he's like, there's a little bit of denial there.
So Hermione's like, I need you to wake the fuck up and get your goddamn shit together. Because it's not funny anymore, Harry.
It's not funny anymore, Ron. Ron's like, what did I
do? So they go off and then they're like, they have this little bit where they're learning different stuff for the third task because he needs to prepare.
Practicing. He's just practicing on them.
It's obstacle based. There has to be a better way. Ron is like the test dummy for the stunning spell. And he's been like hit dozens of times at this point. And he's like, I will have to go see Madame Pomfrey if you don't stop doing this.
Yeah.
And Hermione's like, Ron, just fall on the cushions. I'm laying the cushions out. Just fall on the cushions. And he's like, I'm being stunned.
I can't decide where I fall, bitch.
If you'd like, you're more than willing. I'm happy to relinquish this role I have.
Yeah, you can do it.
And she's like, oh, I think he's good now. I think he learned out.
Oh, no. I think we did. We've had enough. It's okay. Also, what is the point of practicing that? Just like,
how have they not learned stunning? How have they not learned the stunning spell yet?
What is the stunning spell? What's the words?
It's
the word.
It's stupefy.
It is stupefy. Okay. If they're just like stupefy, is it like you have to get your aim right? Like if you stupefy once, it should be the same every time. Stupefy. I don't understand practicing that. I don't understand practicing that over and over again, but all right.
I can't believe that they're learning this now. Outside of class.
Fourth year.
On their own.
Yeah, on their own, right. At this point, it's like, I would just rather have Hermione teach me. Be like, Hermione, what have you read about? Can you teach me some of these spells? Because we're not going to learn anything here.
I do like that, honestly, Hermione should make a second school.
Granger Academy.
Right.
Oh, Khaleesi is not into it. No Granger Academy for you? She says, nope. You need to go out there?
Oh.
Okay.
So they pack the class up. They leave. Ron and Harry go off to divination. So
why are these boys still taking divination? Why?
I don't know.
Because we did talk about the other options, and those aren't good either.
Well, he's got to take divination so he can have this moment in divination class.
Right.
So it's not as thrilling. It's not as thrilling in Muggle studies or ancient runes.
We just can't deviate from the plot of the last book. It has to be consistent.
Mm-hmm. So it's June at this point.
Just because it's June.
And Trelawney, is blasting that fire. She's like, add more coal, honey. Throw some hot wood on that fire. Get what is that called? The billows? The billows, and crank that bitch up.
Is it a billows?
Yeah, I think that's what
I thought it was like an accordion.
Accordion worm.
Accordion pump, I thought.
I don't know. I've never owned a real fireplace. I've only owned a gas
Me
fireplace.
neither. Oh, I've never owned a fireplace.
Well, I guess I didn't own it. My mom owned it, but I lived in the house, so I'll say I owned it.
Yeah, none of our houses ever had fireplaces.
So Harry is like, oh, it is stifling in here, honey. I need to sit by this gorgeous open window. And he's in this really hot room. The scene setting is great. He's in a really hot room. He's in a very comfy chair, sitting back.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a cool breeze coming in from the window right on his face. He's getting hot. He's getting cool. He's getting aromatics. I have to believe that she like does essential oils in the class.
Mm-hmm.
That's the energy she gives for sure.
Yeah. There's a little diffuser on each table.
On each table. It's just like cranked up to 1,000 in this room.
Yeah. The room is like foggy because there's just mist everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the heat from the fire doesn't help.
Right.
Sheesh.
So he immediately like falls asleep. Because he's tuckered out. He's been doing all these stupefies. And he immediately has a dream in which he is riding on the back of an owl and he flies to the Riddle House. I'll cut it quick.
Okay, yeah, because this is the main thing I want to talk about of this whole chapter.
They fly into the Riddle House. He flies inside, down the hallway, into the room from the dream, we're assuming, from the beginning of the book. And then this is the conversation. Then I'll tell what happens in the dream.
Yeah,
and then we'll have a conversation
perfect.
about it. So Voldemort, again, we still don't see Voldemort, to be clear.
No.
He's just a figure. He's on the other side of the chair. We don't see him.
Uh-huh.
And he tells Wormtail, who's at his feet, that he is dead. And so Wormtail won't be sacrificed to Nagini because of his mistake.
Wait, he is dead?
He's told, quote, he's dead, is the quote.
Oh, okay,
in the
okay.
book.
I see.
The titular he. And Nagini is promised to Harry so that, you know, she's not going to get a meal out of Wormtail today, but eventually she'll be able to eat Harry, which is, wouldn't that also not kill Harry?
He's going to kill him first and then feed him to Nagini.
Yeah, but
he's going to Avada Kedavra his ass.
Because he doesn't know that he's the Horcrux, right?
Yeah.
He
don't know.
And then Voldemort is like, but you do need to atone for your mistake in some fashion, so I will Crucio your ass. And then Wormtail is left screaming and writhing in pain. And that is the end of the dream. Now, I will take any questions from the audience.
How is he there? What is this perspective? How is Harry? He flew on an owl to this place. What is going on?
It doesn't make sense because it's not like anything that happens later when he like can see what's happening with Voldemort. Right. It's very weird.
It's very clearly she doesn't know what she's doing. He's just like in the ether, like floating around. That doesn't make any sense, even with like, especially with what we know about how they're connected.
It's also weird because at the beginning of the book, he's also having a dream. He wakes from a dream. Yeah. So I know she's trying to connect it that way, but we don't get like how he starts the dream. We just get that he woke up from the dream. So we're left to fill in the blank on our own. I don't love that it starts with him just like soaring on the back of an eagle, like freedom to America. What's happening?
It was an eagle? Why did I think it was an owl?
No, it's an owl, but it's giving full like Republican flying on the back of an eagle energy.
I just don't understand why she even had him do that. Like it would have made more sense if he just was in the room suddenly. Like Harry was in a room that looked familiar, but he didn't quite know where he recognized it from. Something like that.
Or he fell asleep in this lush chair and then awoke and he was in a lush chair, but he could hear a voice around him speaking down to Wormtail. He was looking down at Wormtail.
Right.
Because again,
or the snake.
the connection is that he's seeing what Voldemort's Harry is seeing. That has to be what it is.
He could be seeing it from Nagini's point of view too. So like either you literally have two viewpoints that you can utilize. And honestly, the snake makes the most sense. Right. Because then it's like Voldemort's talking to Nagini, so he's talking to a snake, you're assuming, but you can't see the snake necessarily.
With the other dream that we've gotten in this book, Nagini is the most understandable one. I think it would be smarter if it was Voldemort, but whatever.
Just because he could like hear the voice, basically.
Yeah, because then he can't see him. But either way, it's not defined as to why is he just like a third person, like floating around like Jacob Marley in the room? What's happening?
What I'm saying. He's just like drifting around the ether, like nearby. I'm like, no, there's no way that's. Then I definitely don't believe you.
It just feels like she didn't know what the actual link was.
Yeah. She didn't know.
She had not thought of Horcruxes at this point.
No. So like what does she think is going on?
She couldn't have thought them up yet.
I don't think she really thought them up until book 6.
Probably.
And then it was just convenient that the Chamber of Secrets had something that could be a Horcrux, basically. The diary could be passable as a Horcrux.
Right. Which we talked about. Go listen to book 2.
Yeah. Anyway. This was the one part I was like, absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
She don't know what she doing.
She doesn't know anything. So he wakes up and he's like writhing around on the floor in pain, clutching his scar. Everyone's looking at him. Trelawney is about to like cream her little panties because he's like having a vision.
You had a premonition, boy. Oh, a premonition.
Yeah. And he is like, no, I just have a headache. I need to go to the hospital wing. And she's like,
I'm sorry. Can you imagine? Ah! Oh no, I just have a headache.
Ow. I'm getting like a sinus headache. It's right here.
It's just pressure right building up. So I just
the barometric pressure. It's gonna rain later. I can feel it. So he just like walks out of class, and Trelawney's upset because he's not gonna perform like a little monkey for everybody.
Right.
So instead of going to the hospital wing, because obviously he was never going to go to the hospital wing, he's never in his once voluntarily gone to the hospital wing, to be clear.
For real. Never.
He decides to go to Dumbledore's office. And even though it didn't work in the last book, in the last chapter, him trying to open the stone gargoyle to leap out of the way to reveal the entrance to Dumbledore's office. Guess what, listeners? It works this time. And would you like to know what the password is? It is cockroach cluster.
What was it before? Was it already lemon drop?
It's already been lemon
book
drop.
2, it was lemon drop.
Lemon drop.
Lemon drop.
I don't like his password being cockroach cluster. I don't like that it's another candy. I don't like that we're like...
It's always going to be candies.
He's got a little sugar in his tank, if you know what I mean, Dumbledore. This is how you understand that someone, not the stone gargoyle, is appointing these passwords. So Dumbledore is setting the password.
Yeah.
So I have to assume that McGonagall is the one setting the password for the Gryffindor Tower.
Yeah, probably.
Which means she didn't change the password for like 5 straight months.
She was busy. She had a lot of papers to grade, you know?
No. No.
Minnie.
So he walks in and goes up to the door, but he can hear a conversation on the other side of the door. So he realizes that Dumbledore is having a meeting with Cornelius Fudge, Minister of Magic, and Mad-Eye Moody, or / Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about Crouch. And in the conversation, you realize that Crouch's body has been found near the carriage from Beauxbaton. And Fudge is insinuating that Madame Maxime killed Barty Crouch because she's a giantess.
Wasn't anywhere near there. You literally have no proof. There's no proof that she has ever even done anything.
It's the craziest.
Such a leap.
It's crazy. So, Dumbledore dismisses this by being like, well, Hagrid. And he's like, well, yeah, but you're friends with Hagrid, so that's why you have a kind view of these people or whatever, basically. And to this, I want to say, this may be the giant thing might be the best way she's handled like prejudice in the wizarding world.
Yeah, probably.
Better than mudbloods. Better than werewolves.
Yeah.
So anyway,
but this is the one that makes the least sense. How do a giant and a human have offspring? So that pisses me off that this is the one that she's like, no, I'm going to handle this prejudice correctly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so they're having this conversation and Harry's just eavesdropping. And then Moody's like, you might want to stop talking because we're getting listened to through the door by Mr. Harry Potter. And that's it. That's the chapter. 43 minutes. We love to see it.
I mean, the chapter itself, I think, was like half the length of the chapters we've been doing.
Yeah, I think you've got a big one next.
Is it the task? No, the pensive.
No, it's the pensive. Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up this chapter. Next week, we will be reading chapter 30 called The Pensive. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions on the Ampliverse YouTube channel and Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we can get a perfect Newt score, 5 stars only, or else you'll fall asleep in the middle of class and have a nightmare where you're flying on an owl and then you see... What?
So scary.
Terrifying. You don't want that. Or Fred and George will blackmail you.
Either way. So for comparison, this chapter in my book was 9 pages and yours is 13.
My next one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's not that bad, though. I guess your book is huge, though, isn't it?
My book is big, yeah.
And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at HPAnxious, Instagram at HPAnxious, YouTube at the Ampliverse, and then is it TikTok at the Ampliverse?
Mm-hmm.
And TikTok at the Ampliverse. We are hosted on Anchor and recorded on Zencaster, so thank you to both of them. And we are a proud member of the Ampliverse. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Thank you, Adam.
You're welcome.
Quick, get in and get out. Got in and got out today. And as always, constant vigilance!
Constant.